The farmer who would not listen. Long ago, in a small village in southeastern Nigeria, there lived a young farmer named Emeka. Emeka was hardworking. Every morning before the sun became too hot, he would leave his home with his farming hoe and walk to the fields. He was determined to make something of himself. But Emeka had one weakness. He was very stubborn. Whenever someone gave him advice, he often believed he knew better. His father had warned him many times. "My son," his father would say, "when an elder gives you advice, don't be too quick to reject it. Sometimes their experience can save you from a mistake." Emeka would listen, but he didn't always take the words seriously. One farming season, Emeka went looking for a new piece of land. After walking for some time, he discovered a beautiful piece of farmland beside a river. The soil was dark and fertile. The land looked perfect. Emeka smiled. "This is the best farmland in the whole village," he said to himself. He immediately decided to plant there. But while he was preparing the land, an elderly farmer from the village saw him. The old man walked toward him and looked carefully at the land. "My son," the elderly farmer said, "I would advise you not to plant here." Emeka looked at him. "Why?" he asked. The old farmer pointed toward the river. "When the heavy rains come, this river rises. The water can overflow and destroy everything here." Emeka looked at the river and smiled. "I understand, sir," he replied. "But look at how fertile this soil is. My crops will grow very well here." The old farmer tried to explain again. "I know the land is fertile, but fertile land is useless if you lose everything when the river rises." Emeka thanked him for the advice, but he didn't listen. He believed the old man was simply being too cautious. So Emeka planted his crops. Day after day he worked on the farm. He watered the crops. He removed weeds. He protected them from animals. And slowly the farm began to flourish. Weeks passed. The crops became tall and green. Emeka was extremely happy. He began telling everyone in the village about his successful farm. "I told you this land was good," he would say proudly. Some villagers admired his farm. Others remembered the warning of the elderly farmer. But Emeka didn't care. He believed he had proved everyone wrong. Then one afternoon, the sky suddenly changed. Dark clouds gathered above the village. The wind became stronger. The palm trees began to bend. Soon, heavy rain started falling. At first, Emeka wasn't worried, but the rain continued and continued. For hours, the storm became stronger. Then Emeka heard something that frightened him: the sound of rushing water. He looked toward the river. The water had risen dangerously high, and it was moving toward his farm. Emeka ran toward his crops. "Please, no." But there was nothing he could do. Muddy water rushed through the farm. His beautiful crops were knocked down. The soil became flooded. Everything he had worked so hard to build was destroyed within hours. Emeka stood helplessly in the rain, and suddenly he remembered the old farmer's warning. The old man had told him exactly what would happen. But Emeka had refused to listen. The next morning the rain had stopped. Emeka returned to his farm. What he saw broke his heart. The farm was completely destroyed. He sat down in the mud and lowered his head. For the first time, Emeka understood that his biggest mistake wasn't choosing the wrong farmland. His biggest mistake was refusing to listen. Later that day, Emeka went to find the elderly farmer. He approached him with humility. "Sir, I am sorry," Emeka said. "I should have listened to you." The old farmer looked at him and smiled. "I warned you because I wanted to save you from this pain," he said. "But don't let your mistake become the end of your story." Instead of laughing at Emeka, the old farmer decided to help him. He took Emeka to another piece of land on higher ground, far away from the river. Together they prepared the soil. This time Emeka listened carefully. He asked questions, he accepted advice, and he learned from someone who had more experience than him. Months later, Emeka planted another farm. This time, his crops grew safely, and whenever a young farmer in the village came to him for advice, Emeka never forgot what he had learned. He would always say, "Experience is a lesson you can borrow from someone else. Don't wait until you suffer before you learn." And that became the lesson of Emeka's story. Sometimes the person warning you is not trying to stop you from succeeding. They may simply have seen the danger that you cannot see yet. The lesson is simple. Never reject good advice because of pride. Sometimes, listening can save you from a mistake that experience would teach you painfully.